Hello, everyone. My name is Madison Crews, and welcome to a brand new podcast that hopefully we're going to be starting here on the network. It is going to be cruising through U.S. Women's National Team. And yeah, I thought it would be a lot of fun to kind of come on here and just kind of talk a lot about what's going on there, because I feel like it's one of those things where it gets talked about, but not enough. And I love talking about soccer, so I was like, this is perfect. This also gives me an excuse to reach out to Bart and have us, talk all things U.S. Women's National Team. So, it's a pretty good excuse. But enough about that. For this episode, me and Bart got the chance to talk on Wednesday of this week a bit about the U.S. Women's National Team's win over the Dominican Republic, their 5-0 win in the first round of the Gold Cup. And we also talked about our expectations going into the match tonight, where they will face off against Argentina at 10:15 p.m. Now, just for a bit of a recap, in case you didn't get the chance to watch the U.S. Women's National Team face off against the Dominican Republic on Tuesday, they won 5-0 with the 18-year-old midfielder Olivia Moultrie getting a brace in that match. She was absolutely phenomenal. Now, the first goal of the night was at the 7th minute, which was by Olivia Moultrie, assisted by Sophia Smith. The U.S.'s next goal came at the 30th minute, where Lynn Williams was assisted by Midge Purce to put another one on the board. Olivia Moultrie then got her second goal, securing a brace at the 58th minute, another assist by Midge Purce. Then Jenna Neiswanger got a PK in the 86th minute, and then Alex Morgan also had a PK at around the 92nd mark into extra time. Now, according to the U.S. Women's National Team report that they did after the match, the 5 goals scored against the Dominican Republic and the 4 goal scorers marked the most in any game since the team's 5-0 victory over New Zealand on January 21st, 2023. This was a really good match, at least for me. We got to see a lot of the younger players step up, having a newer roster come in with a lot of younger players showing off that talent. It was nice, and me and Bart talked a lot about that, about this young talent, and obviously big thoughts and prayers to Fischel, who unfortunately has an ACL tear, which also allowed for Alex Morgan to get called up immediately. And for those of you wondering why Alex Morgan was wearing the number 7, it is in the rules that if you are called up for a player that is injured or anything like that, you have to wear their number. So now that I've given you guys pretty much all the information you need to know from that matchup, here's my conversation with Soccer for US Pod's Bart Keeler. Alrighty, so Bart, looking at the match from last night, the U.S. Women's National Team beat the Dominican Republic 5-0. What were your overall thoughts on this performance from the side?
Well, I think we have to kind of caveat all of this by saying that obviously the U.S. was playing a pretty overmatched and under-talented Dominican Republic team. They're not a bad team by any stretch. They're obviously here at the W Gold Cup, but it was going to be a performance where the U.S. was going to have a lot of the ball. They're going to have a whole lot of passes, and we saw that. What I loved about this was you saw a very clear departure from kind of the rigidness and staleness of the previous coach's attacking style. The thing that stood out to me most from last night was how fluid all the players looked on the field. They were interchanging positions. I feel like Neiswanger and Sonnet were popping up in all bunches of different places. Yes, we had a back 3, but it was really a back 2. And it was just nice to see freedom on the pitch. And it was a little frustrating we didn't score more goals. But you have to also remember, as I say a lot, both teams are playing the game. And Dominican Republic was set up in a way that they were trying to not give up a lot of goals. They ended up giving up 5. And the U.S., I thought looked very strong with a very new and young lineup. And that's a positive.
I completely agree with you. I mean, even just looking at one of the big standouts of the night, for me at least, was Olivia Moultrie, had 2 goals that night, was
Yes.
outstanding, and just it shows that younger generation coming in and really stepping up. I really loved the performance from her.
Yeah, and she's one that obviously has had a lot of headlines around her, right? I mean, she came up as a 16-year-old into NWSL, played for Portland, and you can see how much of a grown woman she looks out there. I mean, she still looks like a baby, but when you watch her play, she looks like a grown woman, and she's out there combining and driving forward and taking her opportunities really well. And that's why I've always felt that the issues for the U.S. women's national team were kind of specific to this cycle. And you could see a younger generation coming up that is super talented. And with NWSL being able to get these players into professional settings a lot sooner, you can just see the impact. I mean, even, we saw with Nicewanger, who's a young one as well. But even Corbin Albert, who at 20 is playing with PSG, you can just see how the young professionals look ready for the moment.
And we obviously are talking about a lot of talent. Unfortunately, Chelsea's Mia Fishel suffered an ACL injury in training, so she will unfortunately not be available for the rest of the Gold Cup as well as the Olympics, which is a huge loss for the U.S. women's national team. And we talked about this on Monday a bit before, but we talked about Alex Morgan not being called up, and then she gets called up immediately after that.
Yeah, well, look, let's not try to read too much into Alex Morgan being called up. I know there's been for some reason, the people who drive narratives on USWNT Twitter are trying to make it out like we're being force-fed Alex Morgan again. The woman has played in 3 World Cups. She's made 4 World Cups. She's made 3 World Cup finals. And, she's a very experienced player. No other player could have literally driven to training camp. That's kind of the big thing, is she's in Southern California already and fit in with the team the way that Alex Morgan can. And let's just not make any more out of this than Alex Morgan was available and close by. That said, she does convert a penalty, which was nice to see. But it's more, we need to more focus on the fact that Mia Fishel being out is really going to hurt this team, because she had the potential to be, as you mentioned, the Olympics and beyond, a real star, and hopefully the next young attacking talent. We did not see Alex Morgan start. I don't know if that was already planned or not, but Sophia Smith starting at the 9 was good to see. I don't know how effective she truly was, but I think, you just saw a little bit more facilitated movement off of her, which was nice.
And speaking of that, going into the game on Friday where they'll face off against Argentina, do you think that Sophia Smith will get that start, or do you think it's going to go to Alex Morgan?
I really hope that so, because, look, I'm just going to reiterate, Alex Morgan has not played well. Her goal penalty kick last night was the first time she scored in 10 months for the U.S. national team. And she didn't score a whole lot last year anyway. She only had 2 goals. So it's not like Alex Morgan has been scoring a lot for the U.S. women. She hasn't been scoring a whole lot at club either. So, I'm really hoping it's going to be Sophia Smith starting at the 9. I don't know if Lynn Williams and Midge Purce are the 2 best to flank her, but I still want Soph to start at the 9.
And I mean, listen, let's talk about Midge Purce too, creating at least 2 of those chances for both of those goals. I mean, she was doing a great job running up on that side and creating those opportunities.
Yeah, Midge is one of those players that you forget also missed the World Cup due to injury. And I know there were some people who, especially during the late run that Gotham made, were going, oh, why wasn't Midge at the World Cup? And the answer is she was recovering from injury. And you do have to wonder what she could have done for this U.S. team at the World Cup, and maybe who she would have possibly replaced, be it either maybe a Pino or a Thompson, because she is and has been a dynamic attacking player who very direct, but in a very classy type of way. And she really last night, I thought, showed why she showed the value she can bring to the U.S. women, and 2 assists is great, but she also just looks like a fierce competitor, and that is just as important on the field.
And now looking ahead to the match against Argentina this Friday, currently right now the US are at the top of Team A, with Argentina below Mexico and then the Dominican Republic. What
Yeah.
are your expectations for Argentina in that matchup? And what are your expectations? What do you want to see happen going forward?
Well, I mean, obviously Argentina getting a draw with Mexico. Honestly, first off, the draw, 0-0 draw in the game before the U.S. team played, right? Like that was Mexico, Argentina, 0-0 draw is like the best possible result we could have got, because obviously those two teams are the two who are most likely to finish second or challenge the U.S. for top spot in the group. So the fact that they got 0 goals and only they shared a point is good for the U.S. You couple that with a 5-0 win, and yeah, you're sitting very pretty atop Group A. I think Argentina has some good professional talent. Mariana Larroquette from Orlando Pride is going to be the key figure for them in attack. But I think for the U.S., the goal is similar to how we've seen them play even under Vlatko, was to keep pressure on the opponent in their own half and not allow some of the attacking talent that Argentina has to even have the ball in our defensive half. And I think what we saw last night with Sonnet, with Coffee, and even Nicewanger tucked in the middle a lot, is great ball recovery. It really was something that I think can transfer. And again, you can't take too much from beating the Dominican Republic. Something that I do think you can take is the ball recovery from the midfielders and the pressure they put on defenders and midfielders who had the ball in their own half, allowed the center backs, who aren't super fast. Germa's good, but Dahlkemper and Sauerbrunn aren't exactly the fastest people out there. But they were very rarely in 1v1s, and if they were, it was easily winnable. The attacker wasn't in a good position. So that type of mentality from the U.S. of pressing, it's not necessarily counter pressing, because like the other team barely has the ball anyway. But just keeping that pressure high up the field and not allowing good outlet balls is something that they're going to have to do against Argentina as well, and against Mexico.
Absolutely. And like we mentioned before, Argentina and U.S. women's national team, they will play Friday at 10:15 p.m. for the second round of Group A for the Gold Cup. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, so make sure y'all tune in. Again, thank you so much, Bart, for taking the time to talk to me. For those who want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at Soccer for Us Pod. Was tweeting during the game last night and after. I also am glad that on Saturday I don't have to wake up early. So that was a struggle this morning. I will not lie. I needed an extra cup of coffee to get going on the Wednesday morning after that game. That was a late night. But yes, you can follow me at Soccer for Us Pod on Twitter, and make sure you're catching the show. I actually just recorded one last night before the game about all the MLS jerseys that dropped this year, and a general take on kind of the state of Adidas and MLS's partnership. So that'll be coming out this week, and then doing a group recap next week of the Gold Cup, USA's Gold Cup performance.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a bit of what you can expect from the match tonight, where the U.S. women's national team will face off against Argentina. Now, this will be the 5th all-time meeting between the USA and Argentina, and the first in official competition. Now, the USA have won each of the previous 4 matches. Most recently, one came 3 years ago, February 24th, 2021, during the She Believes Cup. Now, the USA won that match 6-0 in Orlando, Florida, with a brace from Megan Rapinoe, and all of the other wins against Argentina came from friendlies. One of them was a 7-0 victory in Brazil, December 18th, 2024, and 2 victories for the Americans on April of 1998, an 8-1 victory in California, and then a 7-0 victory in San Jose. And you also have to make sure you keep an eye out for the match tonight as well at 7:30, where the Dominican Republic will face off against Mexico. All of them are in Group A, so that is very important to look at that, see where everything lines up in the group. And looking a bit at Group A, the USA currently leads right now, 1 game played, a 5-goal differential with 3 points. Argentina only has 1 point, they're behind us. Mexico has 1 point as well, and then the Dominican Republic is in 4th. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little recap for the U.S. women's national team. I would love to continue doing stuff like this if you guys want it, so please let us know if you enjoy it. I love working with Bart. Bart's great, and hopefully if he wants to, we can do this pretty often, at least for the group stage, and until we get done with Gold Cup. So pretty fun stuff, very exciting. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and be sure you subscribe to Soccer Down Here wherever you get your podcast. You can listen to it there. You can also listen for free on the Soccer Down Here app, which you can download that in your app store. You can also check us out at soccerdownhere.net. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and I will hopefully see you guys after the USA wins again tonight.